Our flagship show in Power Book 2, Ghost, has returned. That means we're back here. I know you all are excited because we are excited as well. I think when you think Big Gold Belt Media, you absolutely think Power Book 2 Ghost. This is one of our favorite shows. This is really the show that really got us in our groove, and we could not wait to return now for season 3. I know you all are excited. As I said, we are excited, and y'all already know the drill. We got tons of coverage on the way. But tonight, folks, this is our first recap of the season premiere of season 3. So that's episode 301, Your Perception, Your Reality. Lucas and I be Najir, just in case you didn't know, your usual host here to give you that review and recap show.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this was a interesting episode. As much as I'm excited, this episode truly felt like a new turning of the chapter in terms of the Power Universe, a new season for sure, but we're introduced to so many new characters. I mean, even characters who I was completely invested into last season comes back this season, and it just feels like a new refreshing character, a new take. And honestly, who knows what to expect this season? Everything has been shaken up. One of our most strongest character in Monet Tejada cried the entire episode, and really it dealing with the grief of Zeke. And what does a season look like where the menacing Monet Tejada isn't quite so menacing just yet? So I don't know. There's a lot to talk about. We're going to break it all down. Y'all already know the drill. Get in the comments, get in the chat. Let us know your thoughts about tonight's episode, your favorite moments, the things that you're probably trying to wrap your head around as well too. And we're going to be here to break it all down. So Lucas, sir, I feel so bad for you because we've had Lulus on shows, but we've actually never had a character named Lucas. And now the confusion starts because now I get to pick which Lucas I like more. And I gotta say,
wow,
I definitely like the cokehead Lucas just a little bit more right now. I just
cokehead Lucas was also Asian. Asian?
No, he's no.
Oh, okay.
Anywho, since I talk so much, what's your thoughts coming back into this season, man? You know, we've covered a lot, and we covered this for a long time, but this feels refreshing to me.
I'm first upset that we didn't wear red to match the aesthetic of this season, because that's a crazy aesthetic that everyone has on red.
Yeah,
and the symbolism behind that, clearly anybody who knows anything about that color, the symbolism of red and how it pops and things of that nature, like that caught my attention from the beginning. From the first screenshot of poster reveal of it. I said, oh, okay, so I kind of get where this season is heading down towards. And then you come into this episode, and not only are you reintroduced to other characters, you see some of the things that people used to complain about, especially with Monet's character, is like no emotion behind everything she did. And in this first episode, from the beginning, you fully feel like the weight of what Zeke's passing has done to her. You see the relationship between her and the kids. I know I'm a hater. I absolutely love the way she handled Diana in this episode, because again, it brings back the audience to remind you, like, yeah, all of this was set off because of what she did. And then again, once you get to the new big bads, it seems like in the area, it's nothing like Black British folk coming over here and causing problems. That's always a good thing. It's always a good thing to have on the show, like Power. But also just to be reintroduced to Tariq, reintroduced to Brayden, and what these characters bring. And it's weird because through all the other powers that we've had since this show went off, to the BMFs, to the Godfather of Harlem's, to the Your Honors, and all this other stuff that we actually still review, like, it just feels like home when you see these characters and they get back on screen again. You're like, I remember him. He runs everywhere he goes. He doesn't have a car. Like, it's a comforting character. It's comforting because it's like these are still characters that are growing. A lot of the other shows are like full realized adults and making those type of decisions. Here we still see them like making teenage or young adult decisions with consequences, and just the way it helps flow with the storyline. So I'm extremely interested in this season, this episode in particular, because boy, did it help set in motion everything after the end of last season. Because I think that was the most important part, is we saw just how traumatic last season ended. And with this episode, just like everyone else, you want everything wrapped up. You want every answer answered. And they were like, nah, we're going to give you some stuff, not everything. We're going to introduce these new characters to you. A new sexy teacher in there, a new TA. We clearly see where that's going. Like it's so good in a Power universe when they do this and when they introduce these new characters at the beginning of the season.
All right, listen. So because because of comments on previous shows and previous seasons, shall I say, you're not allowed to let us read between the lines here. So you have to speak towards the notion of what does the red suits, what is that symbolic for? I know, of course, but we have audiences that's just gonna be like, Lucas needs to
Like everybody, for me, the color red does symbolize, evil, underlings, things of that nature, things like bubbling under the surface. That's what kind of the red is. I mean, your blood bubbling under the surface is things of that nature that clearly points out when you see the color red, along with the aesthetic, because it gets your attention so harsh, because red is such a harsh color. What they always say, like, you want to get the most attention, what do? You wear red. Amazingly, in a poster of a show where everyone is undercover and trying to do everything behind someone's back, you put the entire cast in red, almost telling you and revealing to you there will be no more hiding. Everything will be out on the forefront for you this season with these characters. And that's what red symbolizes. I thought everybody would think about it.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I think there's a couple of things you can also do as well here. Also, okay, so we have to talk about Brayden, Gianni on the red carpet last year for season 2, come out with all red like Suge Knight. So I thought maybe Brayden said, hey, I got an idea, so let's do this. But either way, yeah, they called him Suge Knight. He was like, I'm pulling off a Suge Knight, and I was like, okay, sir. But yeah, you're right. In terms of red, and the first thing I thought was definitely like danger. Like, it's the idea of this season is definitely going to shake some things up. There's going to be some destruction amongst rebuilding, and I think that this is not only sort of a sign towards the show and what's to come, but to the fans and maybe even to the other series on Stars. Michael Rainey has been very has not been short on words on terms of like his how he feels the dominance of this show and what it does for the network. And maybe this was a sign of saying, listen, we're back, and little if y'all know it or not, but we're the #1 show, and they're going to make a statement. And listen, I like it. I like coming out with the confidence. I absolutely like it. Like, the fans want it. We're going to eat it all up. But like, I like it for them to state that we are the premier show. Go ahead.
This is a beef between them and BMF.
No.
As Lil Meat said when that cover came out, man, this looked like a Star Trek cover. Like, this is the beef. The beef is between and not real beef. If everybody know what we're talking about fun. Like this is what you want on a network when you have these two type of genre shows. You want the actors to interact with one another.
I mean, 50 trying to pull P-Valley in there too, though.
Yeah, you can't. That's like P-Valley is like the upper, like you leave that alone. That don't even fit into the equation of these two shows, because this is more of the genre of the show. Like, P-Valley is a little separate from this genre of the show. So I think that's why I like the little back and forth we get whenever Michael Rainey gets on there and Meech responds, or when Meech posts the craziest of outfits humanly possible. Yeah, Michael Rainey responds. It's a fun back and forth between them. When, in all honesty, they all want to see each other win. And
no. It's all friendly, and they all push. The entire network is pushing their numbers in the right direction because of stuff like this. And even when you don't even consider the network, we think about their podcast, and the crew has it. Yeah. The issue that with Gianni and why I can't think of his real name, but Tommy
Joseph.
Joseph.
Little time for a minute,
and put out their biggest numbers. When Lil Meech gets on that show at some point, that's gonna be their biggest show. And why not cook it up? You already know. Why not cook it up? So, but anyway, as much as we love this show, and as much as we're gonna break everything down starting right now, there's definitely some things with this episode that I have some huge question marks about. And I ain't meaning just in the terms of plot, but just in the terms of like some of the developments and revelations in this episode, but I just want to make sure that we're all eye to eye here. Lauren being back at this end of this episode is mind-blowing. I'm telling you, I did not see this coming, and I know that like they handled this right, because considering how the Lauren death was never shown, so all the powerfuls like, if you didn't see it, it didn't really happen. Yeah, you're right about that. But there was there was almost like a like a send off of that character. Like it almost felt like when Paige left the show, like the how that handled it was almost like she was really saying her goodbye. So like, gotta give her kudos for handling this like a complete professional. That it led a lot of us to think. I don't think I seen anywhere that anybody thought Paige was still alive or Lauren was still alive, and I thought that Paige just handled this.
You know them little power groups. You know, they pulled it out. Granted, theirs was probably she's somewhere with ghosts hiding in the Bahamas somewhere.
Right.
You know,
I did. Yeah, I mean, they speculate everything, but nothing with no legitimacy. I thought that Paige just handled this right in the terms of just really giving us the same shot that we got with Lamar with BMF. It's like, oh shit, he's alive. So here we go. Didn't see that coming. But anyway, starting with the top of this episode, we get Davis McLean, and we get this whole thing with this blue diamond ring. That was a big deal last season, that we knew that he was going to propose to Monet, but it actually belongs to Noma, who is this brand new. Got a little power. They love to give you some strong black woman characters here, and we got another one here with Noma, who was his fiance and his international connect here. And just in case we didn't understand just how big of a deal she is, and this ring is a 4.5 carat diamond ring that just sold for 5.5 million, like it was nothing, just for these random two folks to go out there and do the most tourist thing ever and propose in Central Park. Because if you spent that much money, you're gonna go just that plain Jane. I'm sorry, I find a problem with that. And granted, they got his act with it. Everybody's seen Home Alone. What the hell are you doing? You know what's rough around here.
Really? That's the correlation. Is Home Alone. If I spend 5 point anything on a ring, you're lucky we don't go to Cheddar's and I propose to you. I feel I can do it anywhere at that point. It don't matter where I propose to you at.
Come
I just spent $5 million on the ring. Dag nabbit. It don't matter
not
where
the Rockefeller Center, not the top of the Empire State Built. You go to good old Central Park in the middle of the night. You absolutely got what you deserved there. Yeah, and instead of you being robbed, might as well at this point.
But instead of you Yonkers Project or something,
might as well. Marcy Project still up? Might as well have went there. Like, I heard this guy used to live here a long time ago. Might as well. But listen, instead of them being robbed by just some normal Americans, they get, as you said, this whole British correlation comes through and was like, that is mine. So starting off with our first question of the day, what did you think about the introduction of Noma, the tie-in with the ring, and what did you think about their tactic in terms of inserting fear to the audience very quickly with the slicing of the hand, and then obviously the execution? But yeah, what did you think about all that?
The overall introduction did feel a tad heavy-handed because you kind of knew where it was going. It did feel that way because you knew where it was going to the moment you saw them introduction. When you see her at the auction house and everything of that nature, you kind of understood where the story was going to and how this was going to turn out. So it did feel heavy-handed, but it still works because in the Power universe, to show that threat, you have to have them do something just out the norm. And to want a ring back and not take it off the person's hand and instead chop off their wrists and then take the ring off of their hand, it kind of sends a message, as this whole episode was about them sending messages, just how important and how dangerous they were. So the overall introduction right here at the beginning of this fit once you see the rest of the episode. And once she gives you the monologue of who she is and her connection with Mecca and things of that nature, then you understand it fully. Like, this is why they came in so hard. Like, it's a reason why this had to happen this way.
Yeah. I gotta say, this guy Obi, who seems to be the number one in command alongside of Noma here. I think he's going to be an interesting character here. First off, with his first lines, calling them pale Americans. I was like, oh,
man, he just don't like Americans. Crass,
yeah.
pale
Oh
Americans.
yeah. I definitely was getting to that. I was getting. Yeah,
like,
this is not a black and white thing. Yeah, this is not a black and white thing. This is an American thing.
Kane later on, like it's Americans he don't like. Kind of makes sense though. It fits with the story of that they're creating, the image they're creating around these characters, especially in this first episode, of just how serious they are about their business, and about the way they perceive the people that's working for them. Because again, you're in America to work with these people, you automatically see. They still see, oh, you're beneath us. Like, you're doing this because if you don't, we'll kill you. Like, you're nothing to us. And you need that type of mega threat, because we haven't had it since season 5 of the original Power series that we had a threat this big introduced. So it's kind of fun to get back to the huge threat and how we're going to work it with the main characters.
Yeah. So Davis McLean is all intertwined in all of this with the ring going to the auction, and then obviously he comes back and lets Monet know, like, listen, so everything of Mecca's technically goes to you because Zeke didn't have a will, which means it would then, cascade to his mother, which makes it you. But by the way, because Monet, right, because as you should. Oh, just the penthouse. I wouldn't trust Davis either. I know that. I don't know if anybody. Exactly. Listen, yeah, like for sure. I don't know if nobody. If your first thought was like, oh, she's being greedy. No. It's Davis. You need to watch out for. And she says, oh wait, but he has cars, a jet,
money, a jet.
Yeah, what's up with that? And he said, well, unfortunately, they seized all of that. So kind of a little bit on a hold on that, obviously, because he was an informant, so some of that is kind of there, some of it kind of isn't, and because of what he was involved with, whatnot. But the penthouse is the only thing that he had legit. I gotta say, Mecca was not a dumb dude. he leveraged some of this out of that, because at the end of the day, he technically doesn't have any money because it's all either dirty and it's very heavily watched, and everything else that he got was being given to him for the role he was playing. So in order to kind of parlay, I don't know what that price tag on that penthouse is, but gotta imagine it's up there along the price of that ring.
That's way more than that ring in downtown. What's it, Manhattan?
Fact. Yeah,
it's a good $20 million. That's a good $20 million penthouse there.
Yeah, it's facts. But so Lorenzo, because the hating husband is of course not gonna be like, we ain't living in that nigga house, but that's okay. She said Drew. Funny thing is, she said Drew and Drew and Kane can live there. Ain't even mentioned nothing about Diana.
Because we know where Diana stands with Monet, as we found out later on, as she interrupted a black mother as she watching her court shows on television.
Hey, it ain't just any court show. She was watching my boo Judge Faith. So I ain't mad at her either. You need to, when Judge Faith is on, you get out the way here. But yeah, we'll talk about that in like 1 second. We get Tariq back at his dorm where he's cleaning out. Effie's there to help him. We do get our first look of our princess of Power Book 2 and Power, Baby Yaz, there, because they knew what it was. That's our first appearance. It ain't looking good right now.
We're still waiting for that Yaz book. We holding out because influence ain't there no more. So she might as well just slide into that book right there. Power Book Yaz.
Yep. Need it. Book it. And all those other folks that was behind her, his sister and all, whatever her name is. But Effie is there. She's transferred to Stansfield. And Brayden's on lockdown because of what he did in court. But that didn't go over so well with Brayden's mother, and now Brayden's sister moving into their dorm, their own private Weston dorm. Private dorm. Yeah, exactly. So vacate the room as Mom Duke said, because Brayden's expelled. And listen, I don't know if you knew our name was on this, but it is. And if you don't see him when you came in, you seen it on the way out. So but yeah, we got Brayden's sister moving into it. as well. I don't think there's nothing to make of it right now, but we do know Brayden's sister very heavily involved in this episode. Certainly is going to play a part as we see her. Well, we'll talk about it in a second because I got some questions. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm like, what? Okay, whatever. I guess I'll have to live with it and whatnot. Anyway, Monet, Davis McLean, and Lorenzo, as I said, as she's watching my boo Judge Faith, and talking about the getting possession of the penthouse and all that other stuff. And her whole focus right now is Lorenzo. Find out who shot Zeke. I don't want to hear nothing else, nothing more. Find that out, and that's it. Kane and Drew, y'all can live there and whatever it is. We get Brayden now, who is going to be working with his dad, but his uncle at the Weston Holdings, and this is where we get our introduction to his uncle. Well, my favorite Lucas in Lucas Weston, and understanding that, Brayden's purpose right now is to restore the Weston name because he has been disgraced, and he will be disowned if he doesn't get it together. It's Bobby's his dad, and then Lucas is his brother, but they have different philosophies here. And as he mentioned, he says, your brother could be a little bit uptight. Do you want some whiskey? And then he said, listen, I just want to let you know that the course correct thing, you're a genius for doing that. Don't tell him I said that, whatever. But at the end of the day, he has made it very clear in case Brayden somehow once again forgot of his white privilege of being a Weston. You always got choices. And Brayden says a lot of what we knew last season. Brayden was never about the money. It was about being able to do something outside the box. This was a rush here. And then we get introduced to a new character in Kiki, in which Kiki is a Black woman working inside this organization that completely despises anything and everything around her. And you can't tell me no different here. It makes a lot of sense why she would. But what's your thoughts about sort of this whole Weston Holdings organization business, where you want to call it, and these characters that we're introduced to?
I'm more interested on why now are we getting more of the Weston family. What is that going to lead to? Because that's going to be the interesting part. What secrets do this uncle hold? Because clearly something there, and you clearly see he's nothing like Brayden's father at all. Not even a little bit. But he fully still understands to use your privilege, no matter what. When he go back to when you said when he told Brayden, course correct was a brilliant idea. It was awfully stupid of you to admit that you started it. And always remember, because of who we are, you need to use that name. So I'm wondering, in what avenue does the uncle do that in? Because I think that's going to be the interesting story here, along with going on with Kiki and having to deal with that. Because that's clearly something where I see Kiki and Brayden, it's something gonna spin off between them two there. But just the no nonsense Black woman in the office, a bunch of cokeheads. I'm completely interested in seeing just how this office atmosphere helps shape Brayden moving forward in this season, because now he's getting to see not only the one thing we didn't think he would get to see in the Weston's office is the drug atmosphere and how it is to be from the nickel and dime that he's accustomed to doing to now you're seeing high profile people do it just as open as humanly possible.
Yeah, without no consequence.
That lead him,
because
him to going to the office and doing it. Going to the office and selling it.
Right, because every single place on campus was hot, and there was no place freely you can do it. Yeah, that's an interesting point, and understanding that this, this sort of blue collar persona of once you're out of school, you can just live your life, and there's really no consequence when you're Weston. You can do the drugs here, you can just do whatever. It's all good, And I think, Kiki being there is definitely odd, because you wonder how she's going to play in part into maybe exposing what's happening in there. But also the other thing you want to remember too, is we say why are we getting so much of the Westons? It's always a mystery behind the Westons. There's always a tension, but amongst the siblings here, as we've seen in last season in terms of the book that was almost used as as so weaponized book of secrets and whatnot. And how would that play a part? And will Lucas trying to take the position from his father. I mean, his father's looking obviously not in too favor of. They don't see eye to eye, as it appears,
at all.
Obviously,
Clearly, they don't see
for
like
sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they're tested, what does it look like? You know what I mean? But Trace, on the other hand, fits in perfectly. Yeah, for sure.
He's just a loser. He's someone who fully understands his privilege and will use it at all costs. But that's what I mean. That's why it's fun to see Brayden in his atmosphere. And will he learn that, hey, sometimes it is good to lean on this. Maybe I can use this to benefit me more. Like, again, you got the name, you might as well use it as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, I think, and obviously, Brayden's one of those ones where he doesn't want to use his privilege, but doesn't understand that there's benefits in it, and just how, it's the allies of the world, trying to.
Right? It's a certain group of people out there with their privilege who are just terrified to use it. If my name was Lucas Kardashian, I would use it every opportunity I could to do anything I wanted to do. Understanding that.
Yeah.
But again, that's the one thing we haven't really seen Brayden lean into. And I think with this atmosphere, him now seeing the world in a different aspect from what he's accustomed to seeing it with Tariq, maybe we will see a slight change in the way he does business.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. It's a small arc, but I think it has big ramifications. Brayden and his privilege, because he's been checked about it plenty of times now.
Yep.
And I think there's this idea of campus life, which I thought this show does a fantastic job. Even though I wouldn't dare have been to a school like this. I went to HBCU, but like there is a perception of like this self-contained world of living on campus and the things you can get away with and things you can't. And then you get into the real world and you realize, okay, well, some of that was BS, but some of that definitely did pave like a sense of responsibility going forward. And I think that like that speaks towards a certain audience, but I think Brayden hasn't had to really gravitate to that at all now. Even going to court and did what he did, and he's just out, and it's okay. Like that's not a problem. I understand that. So
he literally got kicked out of college and got a job that most people would dream to have after spending 10 years in college.
and probably going to get paid too, because that's certainly a job. Even if you came out of college, you're probably going to be working for free for a little bit. So interesting to see what happens with Brayden Weston for the rest of this season. We got Monet and Diana, because Diana is trying to feed her mama, and she's completely frustrated because mama ain't paying attention to her because Monet is depressed. And everybody out there, hush, let her be depressed. She lost Zeke. And honestly, I felt a little emotional when they were, reflecting back on. I'm going to talk about it too in whole, but thinking back on what Zeke did for season 2, it is undeniable what an impact that character made. From Black Twitter having all the fun in the world, just the all of the interviews he's done, and just this unpredictable character that we just didn't know what to make of it. It is hard to really justify his death being necessary to get where we're at right now. It's definitely icing on the cake, but Mecca could have died. It would have just been just that, but then we wouldn't have Monet in the position she is,
which is important.
Which is important. I don't know, man. I wish we had just a little bit more of Zeke. I honestly, 3 episodes this season or something and whatnot, but I don't know. I got to just say, like, just for one season, he absolutely is a character we're just never going to forget in all of Power. You will forever be able to name with Zeke.
He's the first actor in Power that people question, was he really acting? Like, he's the first person I had ever heard that before. And when we would tell people, like, no, we talked to the guy. Yes, it's so good that he's playing slow so good that you're kind of thinking he's not acting. He's 1,000% acting.
Yep, Derek Rose in his prime. Can't nobody tell me different, because the way they helped that dude get into college.
Oh man!
If you know, you know.
100% so.
If you know, you know.
Oh man, that's Zeke taking African American study courses at North Carolina with the rest of the team. Like, oh man, yeah. But again, I love this scene with Monet and Diana, because this ain't about her grieving. This is about her not liking Diana. She don't like Everybody knows Monet don't like this girl. Okay? Technically, she shouldn't. You blew up her life.
Yeah.
Like, because of what you did, everything else happened.
Yeah.
So if Monet's going to find anybody to blame, she's going to blame Diana for it.
She hasn't directly blamed Diana for Zeke being killed, though. That would have just been a whole different story.
She's blaming her. She's blaming her for blowing up everything.
Yeah, she blames herself.
She blames herself for Zeke dying, but she blames Diana because of what you did. Like, you just couldn't hold your piece at that table. You just had to be daddy's little girl, and she like, move, little bitch. I don't want nothing from you. Like, it's nothing but anger and hostility towards Diana here.
Yeah,
from Monet. It's everyone else trying to comfort Diana, telling her like, oh, she doesn't mean it. We know she means it. Everybody who saw this episode clearly knows she meant every word she said to Diana.
Anywho, Lorenzo says, listen, man, she just needs some time. Give her some time. Agreed, because you want to stop getting carried. This is probably best for you. But instead, Lorenzo does decide to provide her with some good news. He said, I didn't know you were accepted to St. John's before all of this. Yeah,
Stansfield.
You were, yeah. I didn't know you was accepted to Stansfield full time before all of this. Before you were accepted to St. John's is what it was. He said, but listen, I got a deal for you. You know, how about you live on campus and full time? I know it's been your dream. As she says, it doesn't feel right. Certainly doesn't feel right. But he said, all you gotta do is just hustle a little bit. I'll take care of everything else, room and board, all that other stuff. But you just gotta hustle a little bit, whatever that meant. But honestly, this development here, I just did not like, bro. I just did not like. I had a hard time with this part of the episode because I'm just like,
fought Diana going to this school so hard, and they broke up in the first episode. He like, sure, yeah, like it was his idea for her to go to St. John's.
Yeah, and like the dance around the reason why she wanted to go to St. John's had a lot to do with her chasing Tariq. Yep. And although she may be over that, and there may be other bigger things for her to worry about, the motivation to still want to go there instead of the resentment of going there is something I'm surprised wasn't just a thing. I was just baffled that it was just like, you really wanted to go to Stansfield? Okay, you're gonna go. Room and board, not a problem.
Yeah. She didn't want to go there because it was the better school.
No,
she wanted Tariq. That's all it was.
And honestly, Stansfield or not, you hear St. John's, you already know it's a better school. That right there is probably hard for anybody to even get over. Just knowing anything, you say St. John's, oh, it's got to be a better school. That's just what it is, you know. I don't know, but it was just a hard moment of me just being like, really, like, just okay, fine.
Like and here for Diana with this decision.
Yeah, and then they told me to hold their beer because they had another bigger this doesn't make sense to me moment later coming on. But speaking of that moment, let me, if y'all already know what I'm talking about, we'll get there. But like, think about this right now. We have Ding Wong who's eating with Tate, and with Tariq showing up because Tariq is showing up in a sense of like, I don't have a place to stay. I just got kicked out of the Weston room. Room and board is messed up. I need a room. And granted, these things do happen on campuses. So like, I'm with this, but understanding that like Dean Warren is fully aware of the school perception of Tariq. And as he mentioned, like, you know, folks feel unsafe with Tariq being on campus, right? Because of what Tariq ties are. Right. Yeah. So that means like y'all not only actively do background checks, but y'all fully aware of folks' perceptions of other folks, right? So
you know the Tejada girls instead. It makes no sense.
And then on top of that, like you not only just put like the most prestigious name in the room with somebody that we're not even, however you want to rank the Tejadas here, but you know damn well they will be fully aware who's going to move into that thing as they have this change of like.
You would have thought it would have been brought up about bringing another Weston there. Like clearly the other one just told you I created an app to sell drugs on campus. But Tariq is the name that you're concerned about here? Like, come on, man. Come on now.
I just was a little confused, but I love that Tate saved the scene for me here, because when they started to talk about like them having a folks with Tariq, then he said, listen here, so do you want me to go back and tell all of my, so I don't know what the numbers are, and I was gonna like go back and watch so I can hear what the numbers are, but I'm just gonna guess that
he said my thousands of my constituents.
yeah. So but how many folks did he?
Of thousands probably.
Yeah,
like it's extremely high.
Yeah,
like, because again, he's still running for that office there. It's hundreds of thousands.
Right. That's why I thought it was.
By the way, we're railroading this black boy out of the school. But we got this little white girl here with her drug dealing brother who now is in this nice big dorm room. Like,
oh,
you can't do that.
Imagine that headline.
Look here, nothing has made Al Sharpton wetter than to think about that type of headline to happen, Joe.
My man will be live right now on Instagram. Something has to be done on that Stansfield campus.
He gonna be there. Bill Crump
and march with me.
Like, everybody gonna be there, Joe.
Stand up and march with me, my brothers and sisters, as we have to go down to that Stansfield campus and let them know we will not tolerate. We will not have anything but justice. Anyway, Rashad Tate, let them know. People hate Black Lives Matter until Black Lives Matter. Anywho, he said the race is tight, and he says a lot of what Tariq was being given this season, this episode was about the narrative, changing the narrative, and talked about having to change the campus narrative with everything that's happening around him with Zeke and so on and whatnot. So we got Drew and Kane, because what would Kane do the first night inside his new spot? He throws a party, and what would Drew do on his first night? Have Everett over, as Everett is still pursuing his basketball career, hoping to get drafted. So he's staying low key and whatnot. There's not much to make of Drew and Everett, because Everett definitely was out after he seen the scene wasn't for him. Smart move, because I think that didn't they learn a lot of that not going right last season? Going to parties.
Everett is still scared that he, for some odd reason, thinks that him being outed would hurt his draft stock.
For sure.
But we're in 2023. That's no longer the case.
But it is interesting because he is fully aware of what's happening. As you know, I mean, and it's not that he didn't know, but in case I didn't know, everything's very much on the board now. Everyone knows what's happening with the Tejadas, as Kane may say, like, we have business anyway. But anyway, with that being said, he says, listen, we got a new connect. And because we're almost done with Mecca's shipment, we got to figure out what's going on. This connect guy comes up, says we want cash up front for the product and 60% of the product, and that just ain't gonna work. Honestly, besides Kane and everybody else in the entire world knowing this is a bad deal, this seems completely unnecessary, unless this guy that he was supposed to have done work with is going to somehow show up to do work with Kane down the line, since they clearly have a problem with way too much product for them to handle currently. But it is what it is.
But it's just to show that there is someone else out there who is moving weight, and it doesn't initially. It has to lead to that person now having to get it from them.
Yeah, and as he mentioned, like, you know, and maybe it ain't gonna happen, because he said, like, listen, Lorenzo pretty much raised him, you know, and he says I don't owe him shit, and he asked about his fine ass mom, but that's disrespect, man. You know.
Hey, look, ain't nothing wrong with disrespecting people from time to time.
Okay. Anyway, we get Tariq, and Tariq is with Sebastian or Bash, and comes up just trying to intimidate him. First of all, we already knew that when it comes down to Sebastian and what's his name? What's his father name? What's his father name?
Father?
Yeah, the one that cut him off from all his money. Come to me, Stern. Yes. Listen, we already knew that they're due one appearance every season. So, so trust me, I knew exactly how this season was going to end. This episode was going to end.
He's not Stern. He's not as slick as Stern is. That's the problem.
Not at all. That's why that's how I knew. Stern is the money guy. You don't come with the Stern name and ask for money or try to intimidate somebody by Stern. Stern always was like the leverage guy. Like, listen, I'll give you money, but you're gonna owe me, and that's just it. It's business. and I know how to make sure the business is in my favor at all times. Loan
Mm-hmm.
James all the money he wants, but I will own half that business. Cool. All right, cool. There you go.
Exactly.
Not this other stuff like I'm going to call the cops and blah, 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 blah. You got 7 days. I'm going to NYPD. Tariq being broke with no to limited options is like, what is this going to do for you, Bash? Besides exactly what happened to you. You're going to have a desperate guy, even more desperate.
The weird part is it's going to put you in jail too.
Yes.
You was funding things with drug money. Like, you're not going to get away scot-free here.
Yeah.
What literally was the point of trying to just hurt both of them too by saying, I'm going to go to the police? You literally saw what they did. You understood the business that they ran. Do you think they would think about killing you instead?
Yeah.
I would just assume that would be the next logical step, is just to take you out.
I don't get it. So we got Tariq, Kane, and Brayden. As the whole episode, all we got is Kane calling Brayden all names. This is where Brayden is called Tom Brady. But they got to keep the operation going because, you know, regardless of circumstance, they everybody ready to keep this cash coming in. But everything is hot. And with that being said, Kane is still eyes on Effie, asking is Effie still gang. Say keep her name out your mouth, son. Tariq ain't having that disrespect this time. But anyway, he says, you know, as they tried to like really connect all the dots. And honestly, to kind of give it to you here, what is your sort of thoughts of the three of them coming back together to kind of like run this operation, or what they're trying to ever do, considering all of the different things that they've been through the previous 2 seasons?
I don't think it's them three running anything. Like, well, before the big reveal of them now getting this new connect, I thought this made no sense for Tariq and Brayden to meet with Kane to do anything. Like, Kane is a hothead. That ain't necessarily somebody you want to do business with, unless the business is us killing people. But if it's moving product, Kane is not the person I want to go to. But after this big deal was made, I think this is more about making a deal with Monet than it is with Kane. Because Tariq fully understands, like, hey, if we make this with Kane, it goes to everybody. It's the Tejada family that I'm making a deal with, not necessarily this one person. Because Kane is still someone who could go off the rails, and I don't think you can fully trust him to run a business properly. He's shown us in no way, shape, form, or fashion that he can run anything properly. Yeah. He's too quick to anger to do that. But if you get in with him, it means you get in with his family. That's the deal you want to make.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, shortly after, we get a whole bunch of folks running in there, looking like the FBI. Did you think it was the feds at all?
No, I clearly knew who this was.
Mm-hmm.
Now you could smell the Creed cologne before they even got into the room. You clearly knew who this was, man.
And they come in with somebody blindfolded. Did you have any ideas who you thought that was?
Nah, I had the slightest idea who that possibly. I was running through my head like, okay, I thought maybe Effie. Mm-hmm. Maybe they kidnapped Effie to try to get some leverage, but then I thought, nah, they wouldn't need leverage because she's made it clear already. Like, the goal is to find out what happened to Mecca. So I'm not just randomly kidnapping people. So at that point, I didn't know who it could be.
Yeah. Well, it ends up being Rocky, who was somebody we seen last season, very minimally, but was somebody that was alongside of Mecca. Mecca did refer to her as boss. So, you know, this is just Noma at this point now, just, you know, cleaning up the paper trail, trying to figure out, you know, exactly everything. Who killed Mecca, how the ring get to where it was at, all that sorts of different things. And obviously, where's her product and where's her money? So, you know, as she cleans it up, she wants to know who the fuck are y'all and why are y'all in this house? And Kane, being Kane, of course, will respond back while on his knees with a gun to the back of his head. Who the fuck are you? Just to get pistol whipped. But as she fully introduces herself, she is the fiance that promised the ring, the first lieutenant, and the drugs belong to her. Does anybody else know that?
I'm about to say, how many lies did you hear there? Because fiance, because that ring was going to Monet. So it couldn't have been his fiance.
Or was he just being Mecca, living 3 different identities?
I don't think so, because he clearly wanted to be with Monet. And
Yeah.
again, she made her. I think that she's portraying their relationship as being closer than it actually was, but Mecca definitely was working for her. I don't think that part is out the blue, but I think Mecca may have been like with her, but you know how some chicks be like
I
we
agree.
go together. Like, no, we don't go together. Like, he didn't promise you that. We already knew he wanted to use that ring to propose to Monet.
Mm-hmm.
And then the point that
that's why
she's
she's so
even
salty and getting
asking,
it back.
yeah, and the point that she's even asking how they got the penthouse says she clearly doesn't know what everyone else knows about Mecca's business, is that he left it to his son who's dead and then left it to his mother. Because other than that, the dots would have been connected so easily. Because it seems like at this point, everyone knows that. They would have to be public record at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So her speech here opened more holes in her story and made me wonder a little bit more exactly who she is beyond the connect and what was her connection to Mecca.
Yeah. Because what type of series will Power be if we just got everything right now?
No, it can't be that clear.
But
she got to
Rocky,
later find out that Mecca had a son and then all of that other stuff.
Right, exactly. So Rocky is who was under this blindfold thing. And as she said, you're much more quieter than Mecca described. And you know, she wants to know, what do you know? But as she said, like, listen, see the same thing on the news where she mentioned, where's my product? Where's my profit? And she said, I don't know, Noma. And she said, I wish you would have kept my name out of your mouth and killed her. Noma, being played by Caroline Chikeze, is our new baddie this season. So expect a lot more Noma. Expect
double entendre there, huh?
Yeah. But anyway, as before they're executed, says, listen, we can keep this cash flowing. So what's good? And she says, so y'all not connected like Mecca, because Mecca had federal protection, and these motherfuckers came together like I ain't never seen. I mean, they look like a team of 3 from what was that?
Hold up.
The Science
They didn't
Bowl.
come together. They ain't come together. This was all Brayden and Tariq. Kane just sat there. It was looking like, oh yeah, we can do that.
He did co-sign a lot. I mean, he didn't jackknife it like we know he could do, but like they came together like a team of 3. I was like, man, this is the Science Bowl right here. These motherfuckers knew these ends. It was just gone. I was like, shit. Like, but nonetheless,
a lot of big lies out of
a lot of big lies. Yeah, the only person they were fooling, just like Tariq had his self-check later. They were fooling themselves knowing they couldn't do all this. I mean, but maybe. And I think that like there is enough intelligence, there is enough connect, and I think especially how resourceful the Weston name could be, they really might be able to pull this off, because Tariq definitely has Tate in his pocket. He has Davis in his pocket.
That's true.
Does he have anybody else on the face? He doesn't have Sacks. Does he have?
He showed up though. He ain't got nobody else. That's about it.
Is it no Fed on this side at all?
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
I know they all obsessed with him. I'm just wondering, is there anybody that like
Mecca was using planes to move this amount of work? I'm confused. I mean, you can flood a part of New York, but like it's going to be interesting to see how we move this much product.
Yeah.
I mean, and not to jump ahead at the end, but when we kind of see the product and we see the amount of it, you're kind of wondering like, okay, this ain't Course Correct ain't gonna move this much product. Good damn, if you open up Course Correct in 8 different schools in the area, it ain't gonna move that much work.
Yeah. So that's part of the the problem going forward is how they're gonna move all this product, and how the 3 of them going to band together to do so and be as resourceful as they are needing to be to protect this from happening. Because as you mentioned, he moved this in planes, but if no one has a plane, that's not really an issue, because the Westons get a plane. But who has ports is the question. And I don't know anybody right now that may have that connect. And will the Weston name really be that powerful? It's possible. It's possible that the Westons could step up in a way. I mean, they're getting coke. Who are they getting it from?
Yeah, but they're getting coke, but not large. Again, that's what's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah,
They're not getting large amounts of
it's
coke.
just a matter of who like could Lucas step up and be a part of something that who knows. I think
Some
as you mentioned,
nefarious dealings.
yeah, could
Yeah,
it turn it? Could he start to really like idolize his uncle because his uncle is everything he wants to be, and his uncle is everything his uncle wants to be is Brayden.
or
Could there
either
be
that or his
something
uncle
like
gonna
this?
do him. Or his uncle gonna do him dirty. It's
I mean,
it's power. It's power.
I
Like,
mean,
come on.
but
What
yes.
would a Lucas be without doing people dirty? Not this Lucas, but the show Lucas.
But as they mentioned, we could be the New York distro, and that's what it's going to be. We got 30 days to prove it, and then that's it. And everyone has to provide as much as they can in order to kind of get this long. Anywho, we get Drew as he comes back to basically tell them, listen, Lorenzo. First of all, Lorenzo ain't fucking with anything that has to do with Mecca, just period.
Yeah.
And
None.
Monet just she says, I want it out of this. And I'm saying Drew, I meant Kane. And Kane is talking about like them having a new connection and how all this can all happen if they can buy in. But the family is clearly not interested fully. But I'm sure Lorenzo may turn around
You have no other choice.
Or just try to do what he does and try to, like, I don't know, undermine them and ends up getting Kane in more trouble. Who knows? We'll see. But as Monet very, very adamantly said, I want it out.
I don't give a damn what y'all do. And she got up from the table and said, I don't care what y'all do.
Yeah.
Like,
Back to Judge Faith.
Exactly. Clearly, again, we're still dealing with her mourning. She's not thinking about a game that she believes cost her son's life. Like, that's not going to be, she's not going to be receptive to any idea of doing anything after this. So I do like that because it did, again, it showed a little bit of realness in the show that she didn't just do a complete 180 and, oh, now she's fine to move drugs again. Nah, Monet's like, yeah, I don't want any parts of this.
Yeah.
I want it out. Y'all trying to pull me back in, as Michael Corleone said. And Monet like, no, I don't want any parts of this. I don't care what y'all do. But it does put, again, a very interesting situation for Lorenzo because that pride got to be moved to the side at this point. You have no other way to get weight. Like, the boys are about to become the biggest distro in the city.
Yeah.
Where else you getting it from? Your guy who want to charge you 60%?
Who knows? The scene that I really don't even want to talk about, but I guess we have Diana moving into her new dorm alongside of Becca Weston, because they both Googled each other and they both know who each other is, and as they both decide to keep whatever bit of secrecy about one another to one another as if nobody else can Google, and for whatever reason, with everything that's happening on campus, you would think that Nicole, Becca's mom, would be a little bit more assertive in terms of who's actually in that room and who her daughter is around because of the influence that happened with her son. Think she would be a little bit more cautious about that. Oh, hell, why not just have their own room? They're Westons.
I'm about to say, and Lorenzo magically just pull strings to get Diana into Stansfield, and amazingly, look at the room he got her in.
I hate it here. I hate it here. Makes no sense. And not only does it not make sense, Diana gets Tariq's old room. That's what really blew me. I was like, really? So Diana comes on campus like, oh, I know this place. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because you've been up in this place multiple times, walking in without announcing. Kane knows this place too. Wouldn't be if Kane doesn't mysteriously walk into this room unannounced, I would be completely baffled.
Wouldn't everybody knows that room? Everybody knows that room at this point.
I'm just like really confused about like next scene. So on the next edition of Very Coincidental, we have the classroom that happens to be the classroom that everybody goes to. New semester, same classroom, same students.
How Diana just get on campus and get into this special class? Come on, man.
And
Come on.
Effie ain't so exempt either. She just transferred.
But Effie is transferring from Princeton.
Okay.
I can see you saying that person was possibly with great transcripts. Yes, you apply for this class, I'm gonna get you in. And then Effie was planning on doing this for a while. She said, I know this has been our plan, meaning everything was already in motion. Diana literally just got into Stansfield yesterday. When did she have time to submit for this special course? I think it really threw me off when the teacher said, which said 300 people applied for the seats that U25 are in.
Yeah.
How Diana get here?
Yeah. We get our...
And how all the students from last year in the same class.
The same thing. Yep.
And Brayden's sisters in there.
Yep.
Brayden wasn't even smart enough to get in this class.
So same room, new professor Bennett. What was her first name? Harper Bennett. Yeah, so 2 last names here. 25 seats because there's 25 students, which make them 25 of the best in the school as they are ready for American Psyche. All the same people, and now Effie's there. You got this
I love how she picked 25. I love how she picked 25 students, but then when Tariq speaks, she said, "What's your name?" I would just assume you would know because you picked the 25 students in the class.
We really gotta get the episode 2. Like we got to get out of episode 1. This some of these days were killing me. I was like, what? But we get the new teacher assistant TA in Talene Freeman, who's back there ready to shake things up. TAs are normal, just in case you don't know. Like we so like assertive in here. It's very normal. Also, what's not normal is folks just name dropping Zeke like he just didn't die. People just like, well, what about Zeke? I was like, listen, Pale American, you better keep Zeke name out of your mouth.
Hell, crass American. Look here. That's the name you need to keep out your mouth.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
don't tell me you needed Diana to walk up to him and then sit back down and keep my brother's name out your mouth.
It was a lot of things being said, but at the end of the day, they got to change Zeke's narrative, and Diana took that. Like Diana lifted her iPad and she says, "And I took that personal," and exactly what she did. She made moves right after that.
And her second day at Stansfield, she was able to put together an entire memorial.
Yeah, and Tariq's
second day,
and Tariq still don't have a room yet.
dude, hey, you know what? Some things are just set up, and we go along with them.
Got to. This one I'm struggling.
It's like always having parking in downtown Manhattan.
Yeah,
in power. Like you just go along with it. You're like, you know what? It doesn't fully make sense. How did she put this memorial service together on the campus? She just got to.
Struggling.
Like, oh, okay. Yeah, we're gonna go along with it.
Yeah. Back to the Weston Holdings. Everyone's doing coke as we are, in there. The importance of this scene is we know that Kiki's clean as they tried to make fun of her, but you fooled yourself here. Trace makes it very clear you don't talk about my brother. He's still a Weston, as you may know. That's the name on your check. Because they try to take a shot at him, saying that like, because you sell, you don't partake. Well, actually, yeah,
never get high on your own supply.
Yeah, I missed the insult here, buddy, but okay, it's fine.
Yeah. No good drug dealer, hopefully, actually does drugs. It kind of defeats the purpose.
Anyway, Brayden leaves out the room, and he sees Bash there, and Bash again, just whatever. Kane stalking Effie, and just trying to start shit. That's all this is. Like, trying to let them know, like, maybe there's an important tidbit here about like Tariq coming to talk about Effie, Lauren before and whatnot, but like Effie said we're solid and Kane's just trying to get at her. I swear to God, if somehow Effie and Kane get together this season, I hate it. I don't think that'll ever happen.
Good. I think this is way more about him trying to drive a wedge between them two by bringing up the connect that he has, because he kind of probably already knew Tariq didn't tell Effie about it yet.
Yeah.
But Effie kept 10 toes down. Said, that's my man. We on the same page no matter what.
Yeah.
And Kane hating. Like,
thank you.
What would be an episode of Ghost Power without Kane hating?
Yeah, thank you. Come again. Exactly. And that's all he did the entire episode was hate. Yeah. Hate on Brayden, hate on Effie and Tariq, you know, but it's who he is. Davis McLeod is trying to get his brother out. As we know, his brother liver is failing from hepatitis A and B. And as he says, man, do whatever you can to get my brother out. Do whatever you can to get my brother into this trial procedure and whatnot. And, you know, obviously it's the whole thing of, you know, as he talks to Saxe and getting this appeal done. I have to figure out, where did I overlook or miss that no one realizes that he's trying to get Theo out because that's his brother?
It has never been brought up.
How? Right, because I know when he was in jail, it was a big moment of us understanding they were brothers. And obviously, like, even without them even revealing it, I think it was pretty solid that we knew if you're going to have Method Man and Red Man together, they're probably going to play brothers. So, and we know how much of an influence his brother has played for everything he's done, getting on the money, getting nice cars. He got the bigger and new law firm. Like, he's elevating everything he's doing, but it's all about trying to get his brother out. But I never knew that everybody involved, Saxe, Jenny, none of them knew, as Jenny is completely trying to pull back the can to figure out what's inside of here. Yeah, about everything. She is, and listen, I talked about in the beginning of this, like, Jenny being a character that was like Saxe's love interest. She got destroyed in court, you know, and after that, she kind of fell to the back. And there was a lot of other interesting things we talked about with last season, but let it be very clear that this season, she seems to be a forefront of everything that's going to be happening from the legal side, as we'll talk about at the end of the episode, the partnership that she put together. But going back to Saxe and Jenny, or now going to Saxe and Jenny, they're trying to figure out, why is he trying to get Theo out so much? And also they want to know who is surveillancing the penthouse here. With all these sorts of different things. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Davis talking to Saxe, who's surveillancing the penthouse. And
after his conversation with Tariq.
And then he says, listen, charge this to miscellaneous. Saxe, you please don't be an idiot. You should know who miscellaneous is. It's very clear who this account of billing should be charged to. Miscellaneous St. Patrick, just in case you didn't know. But yeah, like I said, I did at this point, I did not know it was his brother. And Lauren and Jenny wants to know, why is it so important to him. And Lauren, keep saying Lauren. Jenny wants to shift all focus to Lauren Baldwin killers and Saxe. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Saxe's priority in terms of who is Lauren Baldwin killers, because she knows that he knows the St. Patrick addiction is still on hard for him. You already know what it is. And as he said, he said Davis is still working with Tariq. He's seen him. And after that, Jenny's like, all right, I'm done. None of this does anything for me. Evidence turns me on. Evidence turns me into a freak. And we get the understanding that the more information he gives Davis, the more trust, the more evidence he can give back to Jenny, and that's their sort of thing. But then Jenny makes it very clear, are you playing me? So the interesting dynamic between this is that, because last season it definitely felt like two folks of similar professions, you know, obviously different branches and whatnot, one being a Fed, Saxe is just in a law firm, but ex-Fed. And they just decompress together and they pillow talk and use it for one another's purposes. But now it looks like they have more of a formal agreement of saying, like, listen, we're not fucking unless, like, we got this information flowing out the way it needs to be.
Well, it's her agreement. It ain't Saxe's.
Saxe is playing himself. Or maybe Saxe is playing her, because if there's one thing Saxe loves more than getting some ass, is getting some St. Patrick. And would he compromise his relationship with Jenny for that? Absolutely.
Of course he would.
Yep. And Saxe is my favorite character. Oh, y'all know that. So, like, I'm all for Saxe playing the dirty game here. And I have really grown to like Jenny as well too. So I can't wait to see what's up Saxe's sleeve here, because Saxe coming off as just like a normal character this episode is literally it makes my skin crawl, because it's like, what is he up to He did nothing out of the ordinary this episode, and that's not sacks.
Well, that's
He didn't
because everything he does is already out of ordinary. That's why, like, he's
He didn't.
spying on his partner at his partner's law firm.
I
Been
mean,
going behind his back to get information on him.
we all want to know what's happening, but behind the glass doors, you're like, what they talking about in there? You know, one way or another. We watched many episodes of The Office.
Tariq, the moment he saw Tariq, he got hard. It's like, yes, this is my chance. This is my opportunity here.
Oh boy. Next we have what do we have now? Oh, so Brayden and Kane, and this is him talking about Bash coming to see him and blah 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 about him lying in court, and he's threatened to snitch unless he pays him off, and Kane did the right thing. Oh, as we have to also again remember that Brayden did kill Lauren for him, and man, what a very what a moment right here of him mentioning that he killed Lauren for him, knowing that, well, did he? Because we never really seen in such a big questionable moment that we probably would have spent a little bit more time talking about if the events of the episode didn't happen what they were. But anywho, he says loud, because it did that, could you do me a favor or whatnot? But Kane leaves off. He said, I could come up with nicknames too. He said, what you... Well, first of all, I thought this was a very interesting line. I was like, "Oh, Brayden, what you gonna call him? What nicknames you gonna call this very ignorant black man here? What
exactly? Exactly. What are you gonna call this black king here, Brayden? That won't have him pumping you to death."
Oh, so funny! Oh, so funny. But anyway, we get Tariq and Bash, and Papa Stern, as he said, kicked him to the curb, but he's still living well. He's talking about like forming a new business with him. And he said, listen, I got these investors overseas. He said, I just need that clean sweat equity and all this other stuff and whatnot. But then, Bash really got under Tariq's skin, and he says, you can't pretend to be someone you're not, just like your father. You are a criminal, you are a thug, and I can ruin your life at any given time. And then Tariq snapped and killed him. Did you? How did you see this scene playing out here between Bash and Tariq?
Just like it did. Just like it did. He couldn't control his mouth, and the moment they showed Tariq there before Brayden was going to kill him anyway, I kind of knew that's where we were going to get to, because you can only take but so much before your reaction is, I could just kill you and not have to pay you anything. Like, the last thing I need is this thing looming over my head of this guy who's claiming to go to the police and everything else on me. No, I'm just gonna kill you. We can end it right here.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I thought Tariq was going to like catch him going downstairs, want to know why Kane and Brayden was there, and let him know that he ends up being turned as a resource to help them with their business. So didn't see it coming. Well, when he did it, when he did it, I was like, oh well, good riddance. And also I was like, but then again, because what I really honestly thought that Kane was going to kill him, because Brayden couldn't do it and Kane was going to do it, because I did not think that this guy was going to get out of this episode one way or another. I just thought it was going to be Kane, but either way. But Kane and Brayden, as they have the conversation why he looks so shook, and Kane switching up the plan, saying, Brayden, you going to kill him? And they walk in, and then they walk up there and they see Tariq had already done the job. And they said, we got to get rid of this body, but everybody thinks he's overseas. So that's that. This is easily the easiest write-off for them for the series. It's saying, yep, he gets killed, no ramifications. Done deal. Jenny looking at her evidence, and Lucas's favorite character, and Blanca Rodriguez walks in.
The cop that someone sweared would be the most honest cop on Power. And since that statement, she has managed to go down multiple times.
Blanca
has lied.
She's still doing a lot better than some other ones now. She is. And she says, are you the one calling my boss multiple times? Blanca Rodriguez walks in DEA, and she mentions that Mecca works her CI, but she wants to know, like, who's this person that we is outside of the penthouse all the time, and it's Kevin Whitman, a character I totally forgot about.
Once Carrie died, I thought there's no point to this character anymore.
For real. Of NYPD. But as I said, they have either one of them, yeah. Well, Blanca says to Jenny, "See, you haven't given up on Tariq." But anyway, at the end of the day, Blanca reveals that Tariq was in the penthouse the night got killed, but she has not made it public yet because she didn't want to spook him. And Jenny says she has a CI embedded with them, and they're basically are trying to pin all of them. When I mean all of them, everybody for a RICO charge. And that's Tariq, Davis, and the Tejadas. Like, get them all. Note, she did not mention the Westons here.
No one knows the Westons.
Yeah. So, but
her CI is Saks.
It's absolutely Saks. I was about to ask you the question, who do you think it is? But the CI is definitely Saks. And it's interesting because she's trying to say, Saks, are you playing me? But in fact, she's playing him.
Mm-hmm.
So Jenny and Blanca, they team up in order to go after all of them. What did you kind of think of this formation of a team going on here?
Oh, this is the beginning of the end. It never works out when you get this type of team up on power. It never works out right. Never works out right because what both of them want will never align together properly.
Yeah.
And because of that reason, it won't work.
Yeah.
And then the big reveal at the end of the episode throws a huge monkey wrench into everything. Because now you're wondering why we even having most of this discussion then.
Yeah. My thing is it Saks or is it Lauren that's her CI?
Lauren's dead. She's not nobody's CI. She says I have a CI on the inside.
That's true. That's true. We'll talk about Lauren in a second. But yeah, it looks like Blanca has enough pull to kind of get this together to authorize a joint Fed and local task force, and we're gonna see what happens there. We have Tariq and Effie. And Tariq makes it very clear that like he has to stay good in school so he can graduate, get his fun, and get back to his mom and Yaz. So they are still a focus in that. I'm glad they bring that up and that everything ain't just shift away from everything that ended with power and whatnot.
Of it anyway,
yeah. But Effie is very concerned about this new business, and Tariq kind of comes clean and says like it's a new business, new connect and whatnot. And anybody that gets close to him ends up, obviously dying and whatnot. But there's a lot of things that's being said that's important. And Effie being very certain that she can handle herself. She's not Lauren. She said, "You're not cursed, and you have to stop torturing yourself about that." And if there's one thing she says she needs, she says, "I need money." And obviously, Tariq says no one can say no. Why can't no one say no to you? And I guess, it's very clear that he brings Effie in later on.
Mm-hmm.
Take walking into the school, sees this Professor Harper, who he thought was teaching at Howard here, who has now joined the department. As we know, he thought this was too conservative of a school for her. And but we see him also pieced up with Angela Davis as well too. So looks like he got an X little joint there. As I said, we should catch up later. And
just like another power book where Tate is trying to get with another teacher.
Yep.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Absolutely. Back to the memorial, or now to the memorial service for Zeke, because somehow Diana got there and boom. She makes this whole thing happen, but okay.
Got a little motor flying for it.
Yeah, from Baltimore.
She did everything.
Yeah.
That 2-hour flight, that hour and 30-minute flight,
45 minutes max. Yeah, she organized it all.
Friend of the family,
possibly. So, hey, hold on. I'm trying to think.
They said for a friend of the family, Little Mo.
Yeah, they did say that. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I think that checks out. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Look like she would be. If she somehow becomes a drug
money at Baltimore.
If this somehow becomes like a story with Lil Mo, I don't know. But anyway, Diana organized it all. Diana is upset because Monet doesn't look very interested, but she's just hurting, man. She's just hurting.
Monet don't fuck with her. Stop trying to force a relationship. It's over now.
I guess.
It's over now.
But yeah, Diana sits down and he's sitting next to Becca, and this Talene dude comes in and being insensitive, and Becca tells her to stop being a dick. So Becca is obviously forming a friendship with Diana, their roommate. So she's taking up for him, and Talene is sitting here going smack at an inappropriate time, if you ask me. Like, come on now. You see my girl hurting and going through all of this, and you just trying to just wedge yourself in there. But we already know where this storyline is going to go. He's going to start loving Diana. Diana's going to start falling for Tariq. He's going to start hating on Tariq. And what do you know? Another guy.
Because clearly, Becca didn't even like scoot so he could get the third seat. She moved over completely. So Diana sit next to him. So, okay. And we already saw Diana give him the look when it was in class. And she looked up. So I only think it's going to be a situation where she's going to pursue Tariq. I think they're going to pursue each other.
Okay.
She will start falling from him.
We'll see. So yeah, a little more performing. Zeke jersey gets retired and is giving the jersey to Monet. It's too hard for Monet, so she leaves and goes in a corner and cries. She's really grieving through all of this and whatnot. And I honestly, like I said, I ain't gonna lie. Like I'm gonna miss Zeke, man. I enjoyed that character. But Tariq gets up there to speak about Zeke and changing Zeke's narrative. And I think Monet hears it. And I think Monet is gaining respect for what's being said. But for whatever goddamn reason, Tariq turned his whole memorial about him.
Because of that pale, crass colonizer who yells out during Tariq's speech. But you did it, though. Like, if ever in a crowd full of people, it is appropriate to use the N-word, people, it's right there. Because the moment he just said, but you kill people, I'd be like, nigga, shut up. You gonna let me finish my speech? Like, again, but that led to it turning the complete narrative to Tariq. Tariq tried to, like, piece it together at the end, saying, if Zeke was here, my friend would have forgiven me. Like, it's a nice move. We've seen plenty of politicians turn tragedy into their own story.
And Tariq now has flashbacks of all the bodies he's caught, which I think I counted 6 or 7, whatever it was. But yeah,
he said, "I'm talking about you're a murderer." No, and Tariq had to think like, "Shit, I am. I literally just killed somebody yesterday."
Yeah,
like you're right.
Yeah, Streets needed a body, so he did what he had to do.
Hey.
Anywho, Monet and Tariq have a moment of almost like solidarity in one another. He says, "Listen, you're the only person I could trust." Lorenzo peeps in, but keeps it moving and whatnot. But he says, "Listen, like you just seem to always know something, Tariq. Find something out. Let me know." Monet's having her regrets and whatnot, but it's just all about just find something. Give me some help and whatnot. And Tariq's obviously going to make this a priority of his. We have Jenny and Detective Whitman. Who Whitman was on what's the word? He was on God, I've never heard of this before.
Leave?
Yeah, but it was like like a leave. It sounds like a leave.
It's like a sabbatical. It sounded like that. No, not the word, but it sounded the way they described it. It sounded like a sabbatical.
Yeah, was it like composer leave, something like that?
I think something like that. Yeah.
Or to me, it came off as like because he was so obsessed with the case, they made him take leave. Whatever the word was,
which is very odd in the Power universe.
That's what I was getting at. Yes, because this would be a lot of other people. Do that. Yeah.
That's why when the new member of the DEA was talking about he's just a New York City cop. We literally went through years of you being just a New York City cop. And in certain years, she was in Chicago. Like, Blanca has inserted herself in multiple situations she had no business being into.
I just looked it up. It's compulsory leave being defined with or without an accommodation period to exceed the donation of leave, which is so it's just leave. It's just like, hold on. Leave is defined approved for leave with or without pay or a combination of such sick leave not to exceed the duration of illness, injury of 1 year or whatever leave. What is it? Is leave 2 weeks for for in a woman's work of a factor immediately giving birth doing which a woman is not permitted to work.
What's this nigga on FMLA? That's what it's.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what
that sounds like, Joe.
Compulsory leave, if that's what I think the word is, it is a period of 2 weeks immediately after giving birth during which a woman is not permitted to work. So he just had a baby. If that's what it is, fine. But I tell you, when I heard it, I definitely thought, like, was this because they feel like he was too obsessed with the case? So they made him like. Because he and everything that kind of followed this, it absolutely felt about it. My man was just like, listen, he just kept pushing and pushing Carrie, what ultimately got her killed, and he had listened and believed her. This would have never happened. Yeah, that sounds like a little bit obsessed. Plus, you were obsessed, mister, just popping up and just like blaming her and all this other stuff. So yeah, but anyway, as she mentioned, Lauren died in a car accident. Very adamantly had no clue what was to follow after that. But he says, just go back to your desk. You're not authorized to investigate the Tejadas here. So get up out of here. But anyway, Effie's brought into the meeting. You see all of Mega's product. Obviously, this dude Obi hates Americans as he has more stuff to say. Effie's wondering, is this a smart thing bringing the Tejadas into this? But he says, listen, we all got to move this or we're fucked. And now it's all about like crowdsourcing ideas. So who got them? And we get the last scene where we see Jenny going to some place that is clearly federally protected, and she has to show her badge to get out. And we see a picture of Jenny in it, and I'm like, who the fuck is she working with? Like, her mother? First, I was like, it's her mother, or like, I didn't know what to think. And lo and behold, it was Lauren, who is still alive, who is completely frustrated and wanting to know how much longer does she has to pretend. What's your thoughts about the end of this episode, sir?
Who's Jenny going after again? It's Davis, right?
Yeah. It's a little bit of everything, because like they're trying to get everybody. Davis, they're trying to get the Tejadas, and
which one of them wanted to get the Rico? Blanca was going after the Rico charge, right?
Yeah, but they're all trying to get Dave. They're trying to get Tejadas, the Tejadas, Davis, and Tariq, Blanca, and Jenny with the Rico charge.
I'm asking that because clearly it's a name that they always leave out was the Westerns. But if you have Lauren alive, wouldn't that point its finger towards Brayden and Effie more than anything else? Because at this point, Tariq still doesn't know anything about Lauren's situation. Neither technically does Davis. The only people that know is Effie and Brayden and Kane. And then that means, did she testify about what was on the tape already between Kane and Brayden? Like it adds so many questions here.
Yeah.
And are you just holding out for a bigger fish when technically you have one on the hook already?
Yep. I don't know. This episode just has a lot of just reintroduction into our characters, introducing new characters, and obviously setting the table for everything to come this season. But there was a lot of things I just had a lot of questions about. So I am completely in need of a super strong episode 2 to really tie some of these things together, because I feel like the stakes of everything is bigger than they've ever been in any season. And that's why they're just throwing a lot at us. This is like a 6-pack of cupcakes, and all of them have different toppings, different icings, and different insides. And at some point, we're going to figure out the method to the madness, because it's a lot going on here. And and even you remove Noma from this, and it's still a lot. It's still a lot.
Like Forrest Gump. See, you could have just used Forrest Gump, sir. Like Forrest Gump. When he sits down at the bench, life is like a box of chocolates.
You never know what you're going to get. Well, folks, y'all can get into the comments because y'all know what it is. They said it's a big, rich town because we're back now for Power Book 2 Ghost Season 3. Tons of coverage for this season ahead. But let us know your thoughts about episode 1. The things we got right, the things we missed out on, the things you have further questions on. All those sorts of different things. We encourage all of the discussion below in the comments because we love you all. But until next week, folks, y'all be safe, and we'll catch y'all back for episode 2, Need versus Greed.